Surprise! We have a new national holiday starting now. Happy Juneteenth. Merry Juneteenth. A blessed Juneteenth. All positive qualifiers should apply because today will go down in history as the birth of the first federal holiday created since MLK Day in 1983. It is to commemorate the end of slavery post-Civil War in 1865. President Biden signed the Juneteenth National Independence Day Act earlier at the White House. He calls it one of the greatest honors he will have as president, surrounded by the first black vice president of America, lawmakers, and guests, including our special guest tonight, 94-year-old Opal Lee. You're going to meet her in a little while tonight, the grandmother of Juneteenth. She'll be first to tell you it was a lot of people, not just me. But boy, oh boy, what a journey of pain and purpose she has had to very much help this country get to today. So today, when it was signed, standing ovations, hugs from the president, all kinds of shout outs at the White House. Prepare yourself to be inspired, a rare opportunity to be with a civil rights icon in the midst of their work. People are now getting their arms around what Juneteenth means, what it will mean for them when it comes on the 19th. And to be honest, we're not all on the same page about tomorrow or where we need to be as a country. Now, a little bit of FAQs. Juneteenth, short for June 19th, 1865. Why then? Well, that's when Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation. No, that was in 1863. It was more than 2 years later. Why? Slaves were kept in servitude. That's what the Civil War was about. They rejected it, even after the proclamation was signed. It was the day slaves in Galveston, Texas, learned they were free. That was the official occasion. Major General Gordon Granger of the Union Army read an executive order, a proclamation to them. Juneteenth will be observed nationally tomorrow. Why? June 19th falls on a Saturday this year. So, national holiday weekday. This should not be controversial. Think about it. None should be resistant to the idea of being happy and commemorating the end of slavery here, right? We can't be the land of the free until everybody was and is free. And yet there is tension about Juneteenth. Why? A big part of it is where the latest surge of momentum for Juneteenth as a national holiday came from. It was in the wake of the murder of George Floyd. It was in the wake of the BLM protests. Now, to the right fringe, okay, that has co-opted the former GOP, they've opposed those efforts, right? They don't believe that you need to change policing. They don't believe or even want to address or even recognize the reality of systemic racism. And so now they will add a new shame to the list of disgraces owned by the angry few controlling the right flank. 14 House Republicans voted against it. Some, like Paul Gosar, called the day to recognize the end of slavery divisive. Congressman Massey gave this excuse.
Naming this day National Independence Day will create confusion and push Americans to pick one of those 2 days as their Independence Day based on their racial identity.
Were slaves free on July 4th, 1776? Hint, key word, slaves. Okay? Nobody's going to have to choose between celebrating the day our country was freed from the UK and the day that slaves were freed. Why wouldn't you want to celebrate them both? Why would you believe that this is divisive? Who is pro not recognizing the end of slavery? Who doesn't want to do that? What is the good reason? But look, for all that stupidity, there was also proof that all is not lost to toxic politics. The Senate regained composure long enough to unanimously recognize Juneteenth. Even Senator Ron, January 6th was no big deal, Johnson, caved. Took him a year, but he caved. Maybe his resistance should not come as a surprise. After he told us he would have been concerned if it were Black Lives Matter protesters who attacked the Capitol on January 6th, but he wasn't worried about peaceful white tourists. Really, it would be odd, if you think about it, if no Trumpers had resisted. After all, can you really want to celebrate removing the chains of slavery if you favor passing election laws that shackle the same population's right to vote? Biden gets it. And he sees today as proof, yes, of how far we've come, but also how far we need to go to truly be who we can be.
It's simply not enough just to commemorate Juneteenth. The promise of equality is not going to be fulfilled until we becomes real in our schools and on our main streets and in our neighborhoods, in our justice system, so that we can fulfill the promise of America for all people, all of our people. And it's not going to be fulfilled so long as the sacred right to vote remains under attack.